What's up, guys? It is the great Death Sentence here. Been a while, but today we're going to be doing a video about what if Hulk was in the DC universe. Now, this isn't necessarily going to be a versus battle. I will talk about a few versus battles in this video, but it's more of a character analysis video. And we're going to talk about, would he be in the Justice League? Would the DC heroes trust him? Would they mistreat him? Would they shoot him into space like his other, so-called friends at Marvel? How would the DC universe treat Hulk if he was, there? So we're going to take Hulk and we're going to put him in the DC universe. We're going to answer a lot of questions. The main three ones that we're going to go over, maybe a couple of matchups because I am well versed in, the comic field. Again, this isn't really a versus video. I don't really get into a whole debate. But I do believe comic Hulk is above a few characters in DC Comics. And again, we'll talk about that. That'll probably be one of the last sections we'll go over. It isn't going to be a very long video. This is a character analysis video. Let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to take Hulk and just Hulk. And this is going to be complicated because, he became Hulk because of General Ross and Betty Ross. And I don't really want to put Hulk's lore in the DC universe, but we could, just to make it more interesting. We'll go ahead and put Hulk and his lore. So Hulk and his Rogues Gallery villains in his whole universe, like Rick Jones, Betty Ross. But none of the heroes, just Hulk, his villains, and his support cast. But yeah, we're going to put Hulk in the DC universe. So let's answer a couple of questions. The first question is, would he join the Justice League? Very most likely, yes. He will join the Justice League, but would the Justice League trust him? Hulk in the original comics joined the Justice League because he was tricked by Loki. Basically, Loki mind controlled. Well, not really mind controlled, but he framed Hulk for an attack. The Avengers went to go stop him. They realized Hulk was actually innocent, and then they teamed up to go beat up Loki. Hulk was with the team, and then he immediately abandoned the team. He was just written off. Let people don't know that even though Hulk is a founding Avenger, he wasn't actually on the team that long and just left immediately. But will he do the same thing with the Justice League? It should also be noted that Hulk was kind of treated differently before the MCU. The Marvel heroes treated Hulk as a means to an end, and they weren't really his friends. We know that for a fact because they ended up blasting our boy into space. It's only with recent media, since he joined the Avengers in 2012 and all this other stuff with, him being a Marvel cartoons, that he actually became a full-time hero, mostly, and, he actually began to make friends in the Marvel universe. But way before the Avengers, that was not the case. It's why we got stories like Hulk versus Wolverine, World War Hulk. There will be stories dedicated to him fighting Hulk, just fighting other heroes in the Marvel universe due to various misunderstandings and stuff. Basically, the writers back then just saw Hulk as a cool-ass monster and a really strong guy, and just threw him at all of the Marvel heroes, and he rarely ever fought his own villains, honestly. With the most fluid villain he fought being Abomination and all that other shit. But anyway, and it should also be noted that back in the day, again, the Marvel heroes really didn't like Hulk. They probably had a complicated relationship with Bruce Banner, but Hulk wasn't really, again, nobody really liked Hulk. They just kind of used him when they needed to, and they didn't really form a bond for him. All that friendship shit didn't happen until after, until after World War Hulk and when Hulk joined the Avengers in the movies, where where he became Avenger Hulk for a brief period in the comic books, so he was a full-time friend to the Marvel heroes. But for a while, for over 30 plus years, nobody really fucked with Hulk like that. And the Marvel heroes are also notoriously known for snaking the fuck out of each other. The biggest offender is Iron Man. He caused, the whole Civil War. He stabbed Captain in the back. He stabbed Thor in the back. He stabbed Hulk in the back. It's not even just Hulk. You know what I mean? The Marvel heroes are snaking the fuck out of each other. We have the Civil War event for that. I actually want to talk about what the Civil War happened in the DC universe as well. But anyway, we're getting off topic. The point is, the Marvel heroes and the Avengers back in the day really didn't like Hulk, and was actually kind of glad when he left the team. Especially Walls calling him a weirdo, which is disheartening as fuck, because in the Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes cartoon, the Avenger actually was cool to him. But like I said, that was after the movies and all that stuff, where Hulk actually began to make friends in the Marvel universe, because the writers, due to him being in the Marvel universe, they wanted to paint that image in the comic books, so Hulk couldn't just attack random heroes anymore for fun. He actually had to be, written and give him actual friendships like it was, in the TV shows and movies. But anyway, the DC heroes in comparison to the Marvel heroes are far more compassionate, to be honest. DC heroes, I've been reading DC comics for years, and they don't really snake each other as often. The only person that be tripping is Batman for contingency plans to take out the Justice League members should they ever go rogue. But honestly, Batman is pretty justified. Batman doesn't even believe that the Justice League would ever succumb to being evil or being selfish, but things like mind control and other shit does exist in the DC universe, and well, any one of them could be mind control, which continues to happen to this day. So his contingency plan is really just for if they would get mind control, then he has to take them out. Plus, there are several villains in the DC universe with their exact powers, so they have to probably prepare for as well. And, there have been a couple times where I forgot the reason, but the Justice League erased Batman's memory for something. Like I said, the only person that really be tripping is Batman and the Justice League, but none of those DC heroes, really snake each other. They've had disagreements and they fought against each other, but it was never on any malicious intent like the Marvel heroes be doing. So I honestly believe that if Hulk joined the Justice League would treat Hulk probably a lot nicer. He would have a lot of respect. And we've seen time and time again, the moments that DC and Marvel crosses over, Hulk and Superman, for example. Now again, I'm not here to get into a whole debate, even though I believe comic Hulk would destroy most versions of Superman. But I'm not here to get into a comment. Again, this isn't a versus battle quite yet. We're not there yet. But whenever Hulk and Superman fight each other, usually it's to a standstill, and the only time Superman got a clear W with Hulk was when he fought Professor Hulk during the Marvel vs. DC's crossover storyline, which wasn't even based on real power scaling. And the rest thing to think about, it was based on who the fans thought would win. So you would have ridiculous matchups where Wolverine beat Lobo, and Lobo is a Superman type character being beaten by a street hero. But yeah, that whole storyline didn't really appeal to logic at all. It was literally for the fans to decide regardless of how powerful the characters were. So I wouldn't count this dumbass story anyway. But Superman did beat at least a professor version of Hulk. But anyway, how would Superman react to the Hulk? I believe Superman would, treat Hulk as a genuine friend from the get-go. Superman is a really cool guy and probably more compassionate than Captain America. Again, he would never see Hulk as an enemy or a threat. He would probably relate to Hulk since, he would kind of see himself with Hulk because one bad day and the two could basically destroy the world. And it's even worse because Bruce can't even control his anger. I believe Superman would want to keep, especially Batman and Superman will probably want to keep the Hulk on the Justice League to, keep him contained and all the other shit. Like I said, DC heroes are a lot more compassionate than the Marvel heroes. And this isn't a surprise since the Marvel heroes are quicker to kill than DC characters. DC heroes are a bit more softer compared to the Marvel heroes. But anyway, yeah, I believe Batman and Superman will probably want to keep Hulk on the Justice League, to make sure he doesn't rage out and keep him contained. And Superman, even in the recent storyline, one of the most recent crossovers, Superman was able to calm the Hulk while he was amped up by rage. Again, Superman will be extremely compassionate. I believe he'll be one of the first real friends Hulk will make in the universe. Now, another question I want to get into is would Batman, have a conspiracy plans for him, and the truth is, of course, all the DC heroes are, far more compassionate and more, just cooler people than the Marvel heroes in general are. They're not, as big of a snakes. Marvel isn't written that way anymore. Of course, like I said, Hulk's relationship with them is far more better nowadays. But back in the day, the Marvel heroes were kind of sneaking the fuck out of each other. But, DC heroes have been consistently compassionate throughout the years, and they don't really trip, overall. So Batman would create contingency plans for Hulk, and especially, of course, since Hulk can't really control his power anyway, and he would also respect Bruce Banner's intelligence as well. So, yeah, I believe his friends would be the Justice League. I believe they would, even if Hulk tried to leave, I don't even think they would let him, and they would always try to convince Hulk whenever Hulk rashes out or tries to leave, as he tries to do for the superhero teams. At the very least, they would keep an eye on him and would try to help him out when he fought against his other villains and all that other shit. Now, how would the DC villains, react to Hulk as well? Lex Luthor would see Hulk probably as an asset to use against Superman. He would definitely devise a a malevolent of things to try and get to the Hulk. Joker will probably, if Joker ever wanted to torment people, because he does occasionally for the heroes aside from Batman, he might try to aim at Hulk as well. But I believe this is when Batman would arrive. Joker has interacted with Hulk before and sent him into a blind rage. So if Hulk was permanently in his universe, he might try to, I don't know, trick Hulk into destroying Gotham or whatever. But the Hulk isn't, as weak. Bruce Banner does exist, and Bruce Banner is really smart. Hulk has succumbed easily to mind control. He's been mind controlled before, but he's never been mind controlled to attack an innocent person. I don't believe Joker, even Joker, can pull this off. Brainiac and Darkseid will see Hulk as a serious threat. Even Thanos, doesn't really avoid physical Hulk, and in a recent comic, Hulk actually beat his ass and got a clear one-on-one, no holds by no excuse W on Thanos. And I'm not here to debate Hulk versus Thanos. I believe Thanos could probably beat most average versions of Hulk pretty medium difficulty. We start to get into the high tiers Hulk, and they probably beat a couple of versions of Darkseid. But again, I'm not here to get into a whole debate. I'm just saying that Darkseid will see Hulk definitely as a threat, and definitely as a potential threat. And if you ever met him, would probably try to get him out of there immediately. If Hulk was on the Justice League, the Justice League would be twice as strong, since it already has 3 Superman level characters. But Hulk is beyond a Superman level threat, and is really strong. So Darkseid would definitely see Hulk as a serious threat. But yeah, some of the villains, some of the lower level villains will see him as an asset to use, since again Hulk is rage and pretty stupid. So they would try to take advantage of his lesser intelligent forms to use against the heroes. But again, Hulk isn't really suited to mind control, at least not like that. That might work on him a little bit, but they wouldn't cause Hulk to do too much damage because they're the heroes, and especially Batman helping out Hulk. So yeah, I believe the DC heroes would treat Hulk a lot better. The villains would definitely take Hulk seriously as well. And I believe while in the universe, Hulk will be pushed to his limit. DC heroes, just a lot of the villains are physical tanks, and he would fight against a lot of people. If the death of Superman ever happened and Hulk was involved in that storyline, Superman might not even die, to be honest with you. If Hulk is in the DC universe and he's a participating member of the Justice League, Superman might not die, and Hulk would probably clash several times with Doomsday. And Doomsday will probably see Hulk as a rival after the first couple times. Hulk inevitably kills him the first couple times. But yeah, not a very long video. I think the DC heroes will treat Hulk a lot better, at least from the get-go. I believe Superman and Batman will be some of his closest friends. That's another thing too. Who would be Hulk's, closest friends? The Justice League would treat him very well. Martian Manhunter would treat him very well. Superman would, Batman would. All they would trust him, and he would be, some of his close friends. The Flash, the Green Lantern, all of them would really be, cool with Hulk and all that other stuff. The villains would take Hulk very seriously, and yeah, Hulk would get treated a lot better than he would in the DC universe. DC heroes, just in comparison to the Marvel heroes, are a bit more compassionate than they are, and they wouldn't just treat Hulk as a giant monster right off the bat, especially when some of them have issues similar to the Hulk. Not giant rage monsters per se, but the civilians in that world fear their power a lot. Also, this is also to get into Amanda Waller, how she would treat Hulk. Honestly, Amanda Waller is a very exploitive type of human being, and she might just want to try and use Hulk, but Batman and Superman was going to shut that down anyway. But I could definitely see a story to where Amanda Waller is interacting with Bruce Banner, and honestly, I could definitely see her being his General Ross later down the line. Bruce Banner would definitely hate Amanda Waller. And is there any heroes that Hulk maybe wouldn't get along with? Honestly, as long as you treat Hulk with compassion and you're fair to him, Hulk is gonna like you. You know what I mean? Hulk doesn't really care about all that extra shit. As long as you're nice to him and you don't snake him, then yeah, Hulk's pretty much gonna be your friend no matter who it is. Even some villains have befriended Hulk and tricked Hulk because of how nice they were to him. So Hulk can honestly be friends with anybody. But I will say this, once you snake Hulk the first time, you're not pulling that shit off again. Hulk will pretty much never forgive you. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all to go over. I can't really think of anything interesting to go over. Again, there are a couple of matchups, but I believe if Hulk was in DC Universe, Superman probably wouldn't die as often. Whenever Doomsday, a Darkseid, or the other villains would show up, Hulk would be, they would push Hulk to get angrier. We all know the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets, and he could definitely fight in those cosmic, universal level of tiers of power. And he would definitely beat some version of Darkseid and Doomsday, or at least give them a run for the money in the beginning. And the death of Superman storyline probably wouldn't happen, to be honest. But yeah, that's all I want to say. There isn't really much to get into. The DC heroes would treat Hulk with compassion. Hulk would be a trusted member of the Justice League. And I think his closest friend would probably be Superman and Batman. Superman a little bit more because, Superman wouldn't have anything malicious towards him. Batman would like Hulk and trust Hulk, but he knows deep down that if he lost control, he might, Hulk could destroy your body, and if he gets too angry. So Batman will create a Trinity plan for that, and he would probably be more closer to Bruce Banner, if anything, since Bruce Banner also feels the same way about Hulk. So I would say Hulk, Superman, the Flash, Green Lantern would be Hulk's closest friends, and Bruce's closest friend would probably be Batman. And before we end the video, we can also talk about how Hulk's villains will react with all the other DC heroes. Abomination will probably be a viable asset, probably recruited by Lex Luthor to join. Abomination, even though I love Abomination to death, he's kind of more of a minion, to be honest. He's never really treated as a main villain, except sometimes. He's definitely intelligent and cool, and sometimes he goes on solo missions, but for the most part, he's definitely more of a follower than a leader. So he will probably be on, Lex Luthor's, Legion of Doom as of leader. Now, leader is just a worse version of Lex Luthor. He has no notable victories. He kind of sucks. His only, good point was he joined the Intelligentsia, some of the Marvel's smartest villains, but he's not even that useful. He created the Red Hulk, and using his gamma radiation knowledge, he could probably create a lot of gamma villains in the DC universe. Honestly, he could probably turn, if Leader was in the DC universe, he could probably turn a lot of the street level DC villains into gamma powered, freaks like he always does. Hell, he might even turn Amanda Waller into a gamma powered monster, which would be very interesting, because in his own universe, he was able to manipulate General Ross and turn him into the Red Hulk for his own means. He also turned Betty Ross into She-Hulk. So Leader is very efficient in turning, normal humans into Hulk-type creatures. Not the same strength as Hulk, mind you, but just, Hulk-type creatures. So yeah, if the most interesting thing Leader could do is probably turn Amanda Waller into a gamma radiation monster. If Amanda Waller ever got her hands on Leader, she would probably use his vast gamma knowledge to just turn some of her soldiers into gamma powered monsters. But as revenge, before Leader left, he would probably turn her into a monster and attempt to control her. So that's the most interesting thing that could happen. And if Amanda Waller became a Hulk, it would be very interesting. If she became a malicious red type of Hulk, she could actually control her rage. She would be a very interesting character. She would probably kill Leader the second she got her hands on him, or use him to make more shit, which she probably will anyway, and then she would, become a force to be reckoned with. Definitely more of an asshole, closest to Red Hulk, and probably she wouldn't revert anyway. She would probably stay evil and do all the other shit she'd be doing. But yeah, her as a Red Hulk would be cool as fuck and would be very interesting. As for Zeta Rose Gallery, they aren't too noteworthy. You got Madman, Ravage, but they just don't show up as often, and they just don't do much. And the way they died and got killed off in the Marvel universe probably wouldn't, it wouldn't really matter all that much. Now, another interesting thing is Red Hulk. Red Hulk is also a part of, the Hulk mythos and lore. He isn't really a villain anymore per se. He would probably have the same character arc as, being a threat to Hulk, eventually being defeated and turned to a good guy anyway. I don't know if the Justice League would allow him to join after his criminal record. To be honest with you, the Avengers are a lot more, lenient in that aspect. There's a lot of former villains in the Avengers, but there are no reformed villains in Justice League at all. It's weird for being so, compassionate compared to the Marvel heroes. They are ruthless in some areas. I don't believe they would allow somebody like Red Hulk to join the Justice League, at least like the main Justice League team. So Red Hulk could probably join something like Justice League Dark or one of the more Black Ops versions of the team where they have, more interesting members on there. After all, Batman did let Lobo join the League one time, and he's like a murdering fucking psychopath and has a lot more bodies than Red Hulk does. So maybe Red Hulk can join maybe one of the side branches, but they definitely will keep an eye on him at the very least. And if we take She-Hulk, she will probably join the Justice League. I'm just explaining how Hulk's lore interact with him as well. She-Hulk would probably join the Justice League again. All of his, the Hulk type heroes would join the Justice League, and the Hulk type villains would probably just be split up by the villains. So Abomination will probably be in the Legion of Doom. I think Leader is so viable that he would just be captured by Amanda Waller. He would probably turn Amanda Waller into a Hulk, and then she would become extremely strong, formidable, and just a super villain with, government immunity. So Amanda Waller would be more of a menace for sure. And she'll probably just keep Leader around to make more shit. Leader can definitely escape, but he's just so pathetic. I could definitely be seeing him being captured again. Maybe if he forms a partnership with Lex Luthor, he might even turn Lex Luthor into a Hulk and then makes him battle Superman. Again, Leader would be the most interesting Hulk villain in the DC universe. He probably just turn a lot of DC villains into Hulks. And, just make them more menaces than they were. If he turns Lex Luthor into a Hulk, that would be very interesting. But on his own, he's kind of weak. And maybe he can form a partnership with Lex Luthor. But again, Leader is just so dumb and ridiculous and has no noteworthy feats. Something I know of. Again, he's really only valuable when he's with other intelligent beings. But on his own, he kind of sucks. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I don't believe there's any more to go over. There's a lot of Mortal Hulk villains that exist, but the more obscure and would probably get dealt with really quickly as well. They would probably just get exploited to join other teams, and all the rest goes as follows. So yeah, I believe this is what happened if Hulk and his lore joined the DC universe. So to recap, Hulk, the villains would take Hulk as serious to and probably try to exploit him if anything else. Darkseid would take Hulk seriously. Lex Luthor would take Hulk seriously. All the other shit. He would never have any problems with DC heroes trying to contain him or control him. Batman would have contingency plans for him, but wouldn't use them unless Hulk got mind controlled or, raged out or whatever. Superman would be Hulk's most trusted ally and friend. Superman will pull no snake shit, not at all. We see time and time again as Superman. And all that time Hulk and Superman cross over, Superman treats Hulk with nothing but compassion, and he always befriends Hulk all the time. And I think the Justice League would be a little bit more accepting of Hulk, since again they wouldn't really want him anywhere else but with them, to be honest. Since Hulk could always rage out and destroy things, and Superman wouldn't be there to contain it. And again, even when Hulk is in a rage-filled state, Superman can calm him down with the compassion in his eyes. So yeah, the DCs would treat Hulk a lot nicer. They wouldn't snake him, and he would be damn near a full-time member of the Justice League. As for his villains and lore, they would just get exploited by other villains. Sad to say, they're just not that strong on their own, to be honest. Leader would probably make a lot of super villains Hulks, which would be very interesting going forward. And Red Hulk would just have the same arc as he was in the Marvel Universe, but probably wouldn't be. He probably wouldn't join that many teams, to be honest. He'd probably have to be a solo, like, to be honest. And yeah, honestly, Bruce Banner probably lives a lot more happy life. The Justice League will protect them from the government, especially since Amanda Waller would definitely get her hands on Hulk and all the other shit. So yeah, I believe Hulk would honestly have a lot better life in the DC Universe than he would in Marvel. But that's all I wanted to say. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Death Sentence out.